Hello, 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 and welcome back. These are the 4 frequencies that you need to manifest at every or any level. These are power frequencies. These are the frequencies that you have to actually have an abundance of. You have to be tapped into these. You have to have expansion in these, and you have to know that you operate in these if you want to manifest anything of great value. So like I'm talking about things beyond a cup of coffee, beyond a parking space, beyond like what I call the like dabbler manifester, right? Like the person who likes to just manifest here and there for fun. These are the 4 foundational frequencies that I don't see anyone talking about, that I see no one really putting the energy into. And these are the things that are going to determine how big, how expansive, how abundant you are able to create the space to manifest. So in other words, like, how big do you want to go? Like, how big do you want to go? Is it 6 figures? Is it multiple 6 figures? Is it 7 figures? Is it, an entire brick and mortar business? Is it, there's so many options here, but however big you want to go, you have to master these 4 frequencies to do this. And I don't see anyone talking about this, so I think it's time we did. Hi, I'm Sherry Hemstreet, your favorite manifesting mentor, and I've helped over 3,400 women to manifest their dreams into reality. And I've helped them through being students and clients of mine. And they have literally learned how they manifest best, not how to use all the manifesting methods, but how they manifest best so that they can bring their manifestations into reality, typically in 30 days, even if they have tried before, even if it hasn't worked, even if blah, 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 all the things, right? Like, these women are just changing the lives of themselves, but also their families and their legacies. So let's dive in. Because all of these women that I've worked with had some degree of this, and the amount of these frequencies that they were able to access and tap into really determined how big they were going to go, when they were going to hit their ceilings, where they were going to bottom out, when things were going to get tough, right? And this is going to be personal and different for each one, but the foundations are the same. So there are 4 foundations that I'm going to discuss with you and guide you through the process of understanding. They're very simple. I promise you've heard of these before. I'm probably pretty sure you haven't heard a manifesting mentor talk about them, so that might be the part that's new. And as much as we like to say, there's nothing new under the sun, that's just simply not true, right? I have created an entirely new way to manifest called quantum creation. So not only is there a new way to manifest, but also there is so much new under the sun. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be x-raying people's bones when they went to the hospital. We would still be delivering babies without washing hands. And, we would still be thinking that radium made our face look good. Was it radium? Was it uranium? The radium girls. Yes, right? So like there is new things under the sun. There are new things under the sun. Innovation happens, right? And so I think it's also important that innovation happens in our manifesting world, in our spirituality world, in our religious world. And so that's a whole nother tangent that I won't go into. I know that's not the topic, but today we're going to cover the 4 power frequencies. And I get off on I tangent on the topic of new things under the sun because there is so much. So when you listen to these videos that I make, when you listen to these trainings, when you listen to this with an open mind that you're going to get something new, because there are new things in every video I make. So we're going to start with the first frequency, and the first frequency is the frequency of self-love. Now, you can manifest a good bit with self-loathing. I have done it. I don't recommend it, but it's 100% possible. Self-loathing is still, as long as you so much do not have complete hatred and like just feelings of feeling despicable towards yourself, right? Like as long as you don't harbor just the worst feelings, you can manifest, right? Because there are phases of self-love. Self-love is an endless ocean of expansion. And when you start diving into self-love and start understanding ways to love yourself more, you find more and more ways to love yourself. And so I think it's really important to talk about that, because that's absolutely something that is going to contribute to your manifestation. So there has to be some level of self-love there. There just has to be. You have to have at least some things that you like about yourself, because your subconscious is determining what you can have based on how you feel about yourself, what you think about yourself, how much you like yourself, how much you love yourself, right? It's very important, because our depth of self-love is something that, it hurts to even say this, I don't think we spend enough time teaching our children and ourselves to love ourselves. What does it mean to love ourselves? Because as women, we often get caught up in, oh, that's selfish. Oh, that's self-centered. You're supposed to put other people before you. You're supposed to do this first. You're supposed to do that first. You come last, right? No. I take good care of my family. I have always taken good care of my family, and I have always come first because I love myself. I have a deep, deep love for myself. And it wasn't always this way. Like, I always loved myself enough to take care of myself and put myself first, but I didn't love my body, or I didn't love my face or my hair or my weight or the way clothes looked on me. So all these things I found not to like about myself contributed to how I manifested. And that's something that, like, nobody's talking about. Like, when I learned to love myself at a deeper, more expansive level, I unlocked a whole new level of manifestation. And now I completely love myself. My daughter was talking to me about stretch marks. She found a couple stretch marks, and she's growing into her body. And she came to me and she's like, Mom, what are these lines there? And I said, oh, baby, those are stretch marks. Those are so beautiful. And she goes, they're beautiful. And I said, absolutely. I was like, you're growing into a woman, and you're turning into a woman so quickly and so wonderfully that your body can hardly keep up. And you have these curves, and you're developing these curves, and it's a different body than you had as a child. And I just made it this really wonderful thing, because I didn't have that. I didn't know why I had stretch marks. I got hips, I got stretch marks, and then I got kids, I had some more stretch marks. And then I was a gymnast and I had big thighs, so I got stretch marks. Nobody explained to me that, these are the marks of a body that is serving you. And so, like, I had the chance to really pour into her in a way so that she could appreciate these. And she's like, will they ever go away? And I said, no, they're not ever going to go away. There are some things you can do so you don't get so many, right? But at the same time, this is your body. Love it, take care of it, and appreciate it. And understand that this is a normal process of being part of a woman. And I felt really good about that. Like, she felt good. She didn't have a bad feeling about it. But I think we look at ourselves, we look in the mirror so often, and, we look at ourselves and we're like, my ass should be higher, or my legs should be more muscular, or perhaps my thunder thighs should be thinner, right? Like, all these little things. And I say thunder thighs about myself with love, because literally I love my big thighs. Like, I feel like I have thunder thighs, but I don't, because I used to be a gymnast and I know this is like normal. But all these things that I didn't once love about myself, I find myself appreciating now, loving now. Like, all my life, I simply wanted to be beautiful. And now I absolutely feel beautiful, whether I have makeup on or not, whether my hair is done or not. Like, I feel beautiful because I love myself. And I can appreciate whatever beauty I possess. And that's going to be different for everyone. I'm not looking for external validation for my beauty, right? Like, my beauty and my view and perspective of my beauty is my own. And I don't share that with people, but I'm sharing with you because I want you to understand that, like, It doesn't matter if anyone else thinks I'm beautiful. It doesn't matter if anyone else thinks I'm fat. It doesn't matter if anyone else thinks that I'm skinny. Those things are so secondary when you are centered in your own self-love. Like, really breaking through the self-love was so freeing. Like, I quit with all of the things, all the ugly things I used to catch myself saying in my head, right? Like, and I didn't realize how terribly poorly I spoke to myself. And if you just take today and just listen to how you speak to yourself in your head, like, you will not like it. You will not like it one bit. You will be like, I can't believe it. So now is a really great time. Like, just jot down some notes, right? Like, how do you feel about how your jeans look on you? What do you say to yourself? How do you feel about when your gray hair is growing in and you have roots? What do you say to yourself? How do you feel about aging? What's the self-talk going on there? How do you feel about your body? What's the self-talk going on there, right? And I'm not talking about self-talk like, yes, of course, we have ways to love ourselves, but there's always deeper ways to love ourselves. So when you just start noticing how you actually speak to yourself internally, when it's just you and you in the room or in the mind, right? You start to understand that, like, wow, this is not it, right? It's just not it. So self-love and breaking through to an immense level of self-love. And I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about ego love. I'm not talking about puffing myself up to be better or superior than anyone or more beautiful. You know, Vogue isn't calling me to put me on the cover anytime soon. And I'm, you know, it's like not about that. It's about really just loving every bit and piece and part of myself that I didn't see the beauty and love in, or I didn't think was deserving of beauty and love and recognition before. So there's a depth to self-love that is magnanimous, right? Like I said, it is a never-ending ocean of opportunity. And that frequency of self-love is a power that if you don't have it unlocked, at least to a certain level, it's going to make manifesting very difficult. And the more you love yourself, the more you will allow yourself to manifest the big things, the really big, ginormous things that, like, your heart is set on. All right. So self-love is the number one concept. The second one is self-concept, right? So self-concept stems from self-love. You're going to develop, or you're going to have a self-concept about yourself. And, you know, this self-concept is like who you are and how you are. And this self-concept that you carry about yourself is going to determine the ability to manifest once again. And I know this sounds crazy. Like, how does your self-concept contribute to this? Well, it contributes to it greatly. I could have a self-concept of a high school dropout who was a single mom, who was homeless, who turned into an entertainer. If you know, you know. And by all means, society's self-concept, or society's concept of me, not the society's self-concept, society's concept of me was that, like, on paper, I don't look like I should be making multiple six figures a year. On paper, I don't look like I should have $50,000 clients paying me for my expertise. On paper, I don't look like I should be running a business. But that's not my self-concept. My self-concept isn't that I'm a high school dropout. That was a point in my life. That was a point in my life. It was one day. One day in my life, right? And it didn't become my identity, and it didn't become my stumbling block, and it didn't define me, right? Just like being homeless didn't define me. I learned so many lessons being homeless with a baby. I learned so many more lessons. And I have great compassion because of it, but my self-concept isn't of someone who is on the brink of homelessness at any time, because I'm not. My self-concept is a very healthy self-concept of a woman who believes in herself, a woman who is here to help others, a woman who is here to lead others, a woman who speaks to God, my source, my love, my leader, my own, like, I can't even put it into words how much I love my God, but right, like, I communicate, and that is part of my self-concept. My self-concept is that I am whole and healthy, and I am enough, and I am deserving. And all of these you see stem from like loving myself, and the self-love that I have allows me to like unlock all of this self-concept that serves me. So, I know how to do things, and I know how to run a business because I have the self-concept of I'm a successful business owner. I am a successful online business owner. I'm a successful online business owner who helps other women to live their dreams, right? And so I have all of these concepts of myself, and they're all positive, but they're all true, and they all radiate a frequency. And you've encountered this about who I am and what I do and how we interact and what that feels like and what that looks like. My self-concept is, it's something that has evolved, didn't start out here, but my self-concept is somebody who makes money easily and effortlessly. My self-concept is somebody who has a lot of value to bring to the world. And my self-concept is of somebody who loves herself, right? So all of these things that we think about ourselves create the self-concept that determine the behaviors and the actions that we can take, that determine where we're going to go, that determine the ceiling of our success. These self-concepts determine the edges of our boundaries, the edges of our aura, the edges of our power and our energy and our frequency, and they determine our frequency. So like, I have the self-concept that I write great copy. I have the self-concept that, I'm always learning. And these self-concepts, I didn't sit down and start making a list of self-concepts. This was a journey of awareness. This was a journey of authenticity. This was a journey of self-discovery. Then I started looking at who I am and what I believed, or who I believed I was to be. Like, what's the concept I have about myself? What do I think of myself? Who do I think I am? Right? Like, I love that one, because as women, we're always like, who do I think I am to be running this program? Who do I think I am to be leading these women? Who do I think I am to be making this money? Who do I think I think I'm exactly who I am. And nothing is off limits to me. And exactly who I am in this moment is good enough and valued enough and worthy enough and deserving enough. All of those things, right? If you can't tick all of those boxes, you're going to have deficits in your frequency, and those deficits contribute to your edges of how far, how wide, how big you're able to go, how far your energy is able to stretch to manifest. And so once again, once you dive into this space of like, what is your self-concept? Like, what's the conversation you have about yourself with your self-concept, right? Because we all have these thoughts of ourselves. We all have these visions of ourselves. We all have these like identities of who we think we are. And a lot of times we let society dictate that. Like, some people think they're divorced, so they're never going to find love again. Some people think they're old, so they like have to dress a certain way. Some people think they're poor, so things aren't available to them. Some people think that they have problems. Some people think they're unlucky, so like the luck just never finds them, right? And it's all these little things that go into our self-concept. Many, many, many things that are too numerous for me to go through here, but that's a huge factor. It's a huge factor in your energy. Your energy is comprised of these things. I mean, there are so many nuances to your energy and your frequency, but this frequency of having an expansive self-concept is crucial to raising your frequency. Like all the manifesting mentors and gurus and teachers out there want to say, just be a high vibe and just raise your vibration and just get in the vibration. You are the vibration, and the vibration starts with these frequencies. I'll say it again. The vibration starts with these frequencies, right? I know, and this is a big gripe I have, none of the gurus and the teachers out there who do all the trickle-down teaching from all of the same videos that we can all watch, none of them actually break down what the frequencies are or where they are or how to get to them. And this is it, right? Like loving yourself is a frequency. Having the self-concept that is going to take you where you want to go is a frequency. And when you work on that and when you work with it, the results you get are astronomical. So that is self-concept. Now, the next thing is and these are in no particular order, right? Self-acceptance. And self-acceptance, right? Like, are we able to accept ourselves for who we really are? And there was a point in my business when I was like, God, I wish I could just do something that was practical and easy. I wish I could just do something that all the marketers say I should be doing, which is like deliver something that I can point a finger to and say you're going to get this super tangible result, right? And manifesting is a bit of a tangible result. But there was a point where I was not accepting who I was. And that's kind of like canceling yourself, and it's kind of like canceling God, and it's very arrogant to think that you should be something else, someone else, something different, that the purpose that you were divined for, the purpose that you have been placed upon this earth for, the purpose that you incarnated for, the calling that is on your life, the gifts that are in your DNA, in your identity, all of those things are divine. Your DNA is divine. Like, it is so specifically you. And to not have a level of self-acceptance is to be in hatred of yourself. It is to be canceling yourself. It is to be in denial of yourself. It is to be ingrateful and out of appreciation of who you are, who you came here to be. And it can be tough sometimes because, as leaders, like, I want to have a really big impact. I want to have a huge impact with women. I want to put money. I want to help women unlock enormous amounts of money into their life because this is just my calling. I was raised by a single mom. I was a single mom. I, primarily help single moms. That's like my cause. These single moms, they're like the driving force. They are creating the future. And I feel like they need all of the support that they can get. And that is my whole thing, right? But if I would not have accepted that I was a single mother, if I would have hated it, if I would have thought badly of it and all these other things, which it's very easy to do. Like, what's wrong with me that nobody wanted me? Or what's wrong with me that I couldn't make a relationship work? Or what's wrong with me that, I'm raising this child by myself? Like, which I really wasn't, but all of these things are your self-acceptance, right? Like, can you accept that? Like, this was a big one. I was never going to be stick skinny, ever. I just don't have the body for it. I have what is that? Exogenous? I don't know what it is. I have a curvy figure. So no matter what, I lose weight and I still have hips. I still have butt. I still have boobs. I still have a teeny waist, right? So that classic Marilyn Monroe figure, I was just never going to be rail thin like Kate Moss. And for a long time, I just couldn't accept that. I was like, why can't I just be skinny? Like, why, if I lose weight, don't I still look like these women? And, never looked like Jennifer Aniston, never looked like, all these women that society looks up to, and we're not even going to get into the Kardashians because that's just comical, in my opinion. That's not even creating self-acceptance for people. And I'm not saying anything bad about the Kardashians. I think that that's a great disservice to themselves and to other people. If it was just for marketing or for weirdness, I don't know. I don't understand that. But there was a point where I just had to accept I was going to be curvy. There was a point where I just had to accept that I was always going to be not like a bigger girl, but I was never going to be a rail thin girl. And then, I had to accept that I'm different. And we're all different. And then I had to accept that I was the same, because we're all more similar than we like to understand or think. We all have more in common than we have not in common. So all of these things, as I was learning about myself and exploring myself and coming into myself of who I am and what I am here for, and living my purpose and loving myself and, having a healthy self-concept, those all go into self-acceptance. And, I had to accept all of those things about myself. I had to accept that, I was never going to go to the Olympics. I never tried hard enough for it. But there was a lot of things, we have to accept what we have. And when we don't accept it, we're in massive resistance. And I say, like, we could fight with reality all day long, but where's it really going to get us? I could fight with the reality that I was never going to be, and I was a size 00, but I was still a curvy 00. So like, I could fight with the reality all day that I was still never going to be a rail like Kate Moss, right? But it wasn't going to change reality. So like, I moved into this place of surrender, and then I moved into this place of self-acceptance. And, I accept that I have a very boisterous laugh. I accept that I'm not for everybody. I accept that I have a very different way of looking at the world. I accept that I have priorities in my world that are different than a lot of people's, even ones that I grew up with. To this day, I have not folded a piece of clothing since I moved out of my house. I very simply said the entire time I was growing up, I was like, I am not spending my life and wasting this precious gift folding clothes. My son was born. I bought him, like, literally, I think he had 15 or 20 pairs of socks that were all the same. They just went in the drawer. He had an underwear drawer. All the underwear went in the underwear drawer. All the socks went in the sock drawer. T-shirts in the t-shirt, short t-shirts in the, like, I had a system for this, but I refused to spend my life, this precious gift, folding clothes. That was a never-ending task. They were just going to go through the laundry again and get folded. Now, look, I get it. Some people like to open a drawer and like for everything to be organized and beautiful and color-coded and Marie Kondoed. My sister is like that. You go to my sister's house, you open her t-shirt drawer. I'm amazed. I can't even put this into words. It's an art form. My sister organizes. I don't, right? So like, all of her drawers, they're like this. Now I organize my closet, but I have to accept that everyone is different, and I don't have to be like them. And I can accept who I am without trying to be someone else. And that's really the point, right? Accepting who you are without trying to be someone else. Accepting who you are without having resistance to reality, to what is, right? Like, so often we try to fight what is. Like right now, what are you fighting about? What is going on in your life? Think about it. It's huge. For a long time, I was fighting the grief about my grandma. I didn't want to be grieving. I didn't want to be in grief. I didn't want to be depressed. I didn't want to be angry. I didn't want to be hurt. I didn't want to go through the 5 stages of grief. That was comical. Like, that was literally comical. Like, this is part of being human. This is how we handle things. And so that was it, right? Self-acceptance. Stop resisting who you are. And it's so funny because every time I would get into deeper alignment, there is a point of getting into alignment where you stop fighting who you think you are for who you truly are. And that in itself is extraordinary. Like, like, I wrote a bunch of books and I was like, I'm not a writer. I just stopped one day saying I'm not a writer, changed my self-concept, and I was like, what am I resisting? Where do I need to surrender? Where do I need to accept that, like, yeah, I'm a writer? We can have an idea of who we are, but accepting the truth about who we are unlocks immense power. It is a frequency that it just breaks through all illusion. It's huge. all of these frequencies are extraordinary frequencies. I cannot express that enough. Like when I tell you they are powerful, I can't even begin to tell you the power that is unlocked in them each time my clients and I go through the process of using these concepts, these 4 frequencies, right? And it's huge because we see where we're not accepting of ourselves, and we're given the opportunity to accept ourselves and make peace with it and love. When you accept yourself and you make more peace, you love yourself more. When you love yourself more, your self-concept expands. Like, are we onto something here? Yes, I think we are. Right? And so that brings me to the last one. And the last one is self-belief. Now, belief gets a bad rap in manifesting. It gets a bad rap everywhere, like in mindset, manifesting, coaching. Belief is a big thing. Belief is a big deal everywhere. But it's not necessarily like, do I believe it's possible to manifest 7 figures? Yes, I did it. Do I believe it's possible to manifest 7 figures working less? We might find out, right? Do I believe it's possible to manifest multiple 6 figures or $500,000 working like 4 hours a day? Yeah, because I've only ever worked 5 hours a day, right? So I think that there's a way to work smarter. I believe that there's a way to work smarter and to get more support so I could make the income I made before working less, because my priorities have shifted, right? And manifesting in itself is a lot about belief, right? And a lot of people think it comes down to like, what do you believe is possible? It's not even that. It is not even what you believe is possible. This, if you allow this, if you allow yourself to truly get this, it will create the awareness for you to have a breakthrough. Because a breakthrough isn't a point, it's something you experience, right? So manifesting isn't as much about the belief, is it possible? Because like everything under the sun is possible. It's, do you believe you can do it? What is your level of self-belief? What is the level of self-belief you hold about yourself? And when I started really looking at this, when I started really dissecting this and zeroing in on it and examining it and becoming aware of it and moving deeper and deeper into awareness, like, what do I believe is possible for myself, right? So like, let's circle back to the girl that dropped out of high school. What did she believe was possible for herself, right? Now let's circle back to the girl who was homeless with a baby. What did she have a self-belief that was possible, right? And let's fast forward to the girl who had a $200,000 day. I had a whole heck of a lot of self-belief. I had so much self-belief about that moment. I had so much self-belief about that day. I had so much internal self-belief. That day, I was harnessing all 4 of these frequencies. I was in self-love. I had a great self-concept. I was in self-acceptance, and my self-belief was sky high. And I can't even tell you how important self-belief is. Like, I feel like I just can't even put this into words, because when we understand the level of our self-belief, do I think it's possible that I can do that? Do I believe I can do that? Do I believe I'm worthy of that? Do I believe I'm capable of that? Do I believe that's a possibility for me, right? Like, did I believe that $200,000 was a possibility? I hadn't even thought about it. Hadn't even considered it, right? When I made like $75,000 cash working 1 hour a day in this very short 2-week time period, in very extraordinary circumstances. And if you've been with me for a while, you've heard this story, but if not, it's It's really not that big of a deal. But I collected $75,000 cash without even trying to. I was trying to make $20,000 cash the whole month, right? But because I had created so much power in these 4 frequencies, because I had created so much power in these 4 frequencies, there was no deficit. There was no deficit. I'm telling you, these 4 frequencies. And then when I actually used my own manifesting powers, that's how it got there. It was gangbusters. It was crazy. Like, I still look back at that and I'm like, wow, that girl really, like, I love that girl. I love the girl I was that day. I love the girl I was when I made 200,000 in a day. And I love the girl I am today because I still had limitations when I made the $75,000. I still had limitations when I made the $200,000. I still have limitations today, right? I believe anything's possible, but like when I get down to it, you know, for instance, one of my mentors made $1 million on a webinar, and he just didn't think it was possible. He did not think it was possible. So he had no, and I don't know if he didn't think it was possible for other people or if it wasn't possible for him. But I do know for him to actually have had that experience of making $1 million on a webinar live, like in an hour he made it. It was something ridiculous and sick. He had to have a level of self-belief about himself that he could do it. So self-belief also harbors faith and trust. Faith in yourself and trust in yourself to do it, right? There are nuances in each one of these frequencies. But he trusted himself. He had the faith that he could take the steps, whether or not it happened. And this is when they say, like, don't be attached to the outcome. I believe in being attached to the outcome. I believe in being obsessed about the outcome. But I don't believe in being unhealthily attached. I don't believe in being dependent upon the outcome. I don't believe in the outcome saving you, which is what true attachment is that people don't actually dissect in manifesting. So when you have a self-belief, you have an attachment to it, but you are willing to work with what you believe is possible for you. You're willing to step out in faith and conquer the fear, step out in action, even if you have fear, because you have self-belief. You're able to step out in trust because you have self-belief. This or something better. If it doesn't work out, I get another shot. So many entrepreneurs are like, I can't do this. If it doesn't work out, what? You get detention. If it doesn't work out, you have to stand in a corner. If it doesn't work out, everyone will know I failed. Everyone's failed. I failed. Hello, I just told you I dropped out of high school. The like biggest failure ever. Like, hey, way to start my adult life off on the wrong foot. Fail. You know, you can't win without failing. Every person starts not at the winning line, right? And that self-belief that you can get to the finish line, that self-belief that you can at least run the race, that self-belief that you trust yourself, that self-belief that you believe in yourself, that you think this is an option for you, that you think this is a possibility for you, whether or not you achieve it, right? People have this idea that like you have to do it the first time you set out to do it. Most people don't. When people come to me for manifesting, for instance, Jessica, I talk about her a lot. She's amazing. She wanted 10K months for like at least 4 or 5 years. I can't recall exactly off the top of my head right now. And I had worked with her before and she didn't get to them. And she had spent years working toward it, right? All of those years, we could look at and call them a failure, but they weren't. They were her learning all the ways not to do it for herself. They were her learning, going through the process and the learning curve of learning how to grow a business, learning how to serve clients, learning how to increase your income. There's so many things that go into it. And she had the self-belief that it was possible. So then when she came back to me and she was like, Sherry, I really want to do this. I want to manifest this. Boom, 30 days, 6-figure client, 10K a month. Done. Done. And you might say, oh, well, she spent all those years doing it. No, she spent all those years doing it. But she still didn't have the key to get it done, right? It's like the light bulb, Edison and the light bulb. Had 10,000 ways you could not make a light bulb, but he only needed one way you could make a light bulb, right? Failure is everywhere. I don't call it failure, right? I call it the path. And I find the people who are really successful don't call it failure. It's part of the process. You can't bake a perfect cake without messing up a few. You know, my mom used to bake cakes, very extravagant. Before the Cake Boss even existed, my mom had a business making cakes, and she used to make these gorgeous iced roses, and she had this little thing that she would make them on, each one individually, and then she would put them on this like wax paper, and they would, you know, she would like freeze them so they stayed, and then she would put them on the cake, and it was just a beautiful process. And she gave me all of her mistakes. She called them mistakes, not failures, because it wasn't a failure, because she still got a chance to do the next one, right? But I got to eat all of her mistakes. And as a kid, whew, that was like a good day when my mom was messing up, right? So it's perspective. It's perspective. She believed she could get a better rose out, so she had to call one rose a mistake because she knew what she was capable of, right? So Jessica had to believe she could get 10K a month, and it had to be what was best for her in alignment with her. Now, she didn't call those years failures, but she knew she was capable of it, so she didn't give up because she had self-belief, because she had trust in herself, because she had faith in herself, because she was willing to step out into action despite the fear, right? There's so many nuances in self-belief, but it really comes down to, do you believe it's possible? Do you believe you are able to do this? Do you believe you are able to do that? The thing that you want right now, do you actually believe? Do you have a high level of, an impossible level of, an extraordinary level of belief that you can do this? Not that it's available to you, not that others have done it, not that it's possible, but do you have the self-belief that you can have it? And that's what it comes down to. That's absolutely what it comes down to. So these 4 formulas, the frequencies, forgive me, these 4 frequencies, I'm thinking of the frequency formula. These 4 frequencies are the foundation of power. They unlock the truth of how you truly feel. They give you feedback on everything. These 4 frequencies, if all you do is dive into them, will expand what is possible for you. And you'll start to see this, and you'll start to believe that more is possible for you. So, once again, let's go through them, shall we? Self-love, self-acceptance, in no particular order. Self-love, self-acceptance, self-concept, self-belief. Notice it's all about the self, because you are what matters in your life. Everyone else matters. Everyone else matters. People matter. But you are the material you have to work with. And that's where everything begins, with your frequency. So if you're not manifesting the way you want, if things aren't quite going the way you want, there's probably somewhere here that you could use some work. And if not, and if you're interested in learning more, or if you're interested in going to the next level, or if you're interested in having an extraordinary breakthrough, or if you want a 6-figure payday, by all means, reach out to me. We can have a conversation and see where you are, and if that's a good fit, and if I can even help you. And if I can even help you and it seems to make sense, we can talk about what comes after that, right? But the most important thing is like, give yourself an inventory of these 4 things. Go through these 4 things and see where you are weakest and where you are strongest. Go through these 4 things and start looking at yourself and listening to that self-conversation during the day that you're having. Start hearing what you say to yourself about these 4 concepts, these 4 frequencies, right? Because you're going to unlock more power. And when you do that, you can manifest bigger, greater, faster, amazing. So once again, if you know somebody that would benefit from this, please share this with them. And as always, it's Sherry, your favorite manifesting mentor. And you can find out more about me at thesherryhamstreet.com or reach out. And that's it for today. I will see you on the next training.